Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, well, anyway. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the multi-voice reviewer. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today, this is a brand new episode of what I like to call Multi-Voice-Oween. For today's Multi-Voice-Oween, I'm going to talk about the most famous TV hosts in history. Now, for those of you who don't know, a long time ago, when television were really big back in the 50s, and it did go on until 2000, where there's no need for any more TV hosts. There were lots of TV hosts a long time ago, ever since the 60s. I mean, when they always do a I remember when I was young. When I started watching a kids channel, they had a TV host for the kids, and I remember in the sci-fi they had a host who hosts anime movies. But of course, the one most people remember the most is, of course, horror hosts, or what they like to call them, TV ghouls. I remember that there was Zachary, Vampira, and the Cool Ghoul, and also the Ghoul. But the one that most people remember a lot more than the other hosts is the most very attractive and very sexy femme fatale horror host in history. And it's none other, and what I'm be talking to you is none other than Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Yep, that's right. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the gal with the enormous ratings. Yeah. Now, not many people know that Elvira, she played by this really lovely actress, who is also an icon to everybody in the world. Her real name is actually Cassandra Peterson. Cassandra Peterson. Now, Cassandra Peterson, she appeared in a couple of B-movie she started out as an actress, but in a couple of B-movie roles. And way before she was Elvira, she did appear in that one movie called Cheech and Chong's next movie, where she played one of the damsels who keeps screaming out, "Help me, Wamba! Help me, Wamba!" Yeah. But one of the studios wanted a horror host to host some movies back in the 80s, and then they hired Cassandra Peterson to create this vampire-like horror host named Elvira. And I remember when she became such a popular icon, I remember tons of girls who likes to dress up as Elvira. And even there are some girls who would there's even some drag queens who wants to dress up like her. I guess she becomes quite popular. Now, the show that she does, which I remember one of my good friend Dracula did a review of, and it is, of course, Dracula's Great Love, was one of the movies that Dracula hosts. And the series that she was in was called the Elvira's Movie Macabre, where she hosts all the B-rated movies. B-rated and independent movies. Heck, I even have a few of these on DVD. What I have here is a collection of Elvira's Box of Horrors called Elvira's Horror Movie Classics. Now, on these things, she hosts these movies here. Like, she reviews, Dementia 13 and Carnival of Souls, House on Haunted Hill and Night of the Living Dead, which you already saw my review on that one. And, of course, Little Shop of Horrors and The Brain That Wouldn't Die. These are the one I got. And then after her years doing the movie of the macabre, there were a lot of demands over this Elvira character so much that they made their first genuine feature-length movie, which I have. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the movie. Which, I gotta say, it is a good movie. I mean, I always watch this. Now, this one is a double movie feature. The other one is Transylvania 65000, which I will review one of these days. But right now, I'm focusing more on Elvira. Now, what's this movie all about? That Elvira, she's being the horror movie host, and all of a sudden she gets hits on by a boss who's trying to put some moves on her. So she quit. And then all of a sudden she gets a letter inherited by her loving aunt named Morgana. She inherited her wealth since she passed away, so she went all the way to this small, quiet town. She was hoping if she gets a lot of money from her aunt, it would give her a chance to go all the way to Las Vegas and hit it big. Why Las Vegas? I mean, nothing good comes in Las Vegas. Heck, you couldn't even hit it big even if you wanted to in Las Vegas. There are a bunch of gamblers and crooks in there. At least their forensics is doing okay. But anyway, Elvira goes to this small town, and it turns out this small town are not exactly a welcome wagon. 'Cause there is this woman who is a snooty, thinking I'm better than you kind of woman. She keeps trying to make her so miserable that she can't even get her job anywhere in this town. And she meets the lawyer, and it turns out that there is a villain in this movie. He goes by the name of Vincent Talbot, and she is Elvira's uncle. But he is really, really evil. And what he wants is what his sister Organa has. Now, during her inheritance, turns out she doesn't inherit a lot of big bucks or money or anything, but instead inherits her mansion, her dog named Algonquin, who is actually a poodle terrier, and also inherits her cookbook, her Aunt Organa's cookbook. So, sadly, that's what Elvira gets. The house, the dog, and the book. And of course, her Uncle Vinny, he gets nothing. But it turns out that the uncle wants that recipe book because it contains more powers than anybody in the world. So little does Elvira know that her Aunt Organa is actually a mistress of the dark, some kind of a sorceress witch who uses her powers for good and never evil. But her Uncle Vinny, he wants the book so he could become Master of the Dark and become the most powerful sorcerer who ever lived. Anyway, Elvira made some friends with a couple of teenagers, even a couple of boys who would like to have a peek on her cleavage. Perverts. But she makes friends with a couple of teenagers, and she also meets this guy who goes by the name of Bob, who works in the movie theaters. Most of his movies are more G-rated movies, but she decided to do a little something on her on his movie theater, show some B-rated movies that she has on her collection. And of course, also this movie introduces her famous black car, which I gotta say, it's pretty stylish. I think it's some sort of a Cadillac. Yeah, a black gothic Cadillac. Of course, I don't know much about Cadillacs. I'm more into Corvettes myself. But anyway, she decided to give her dog named Algonquin a bit of a new look. And of course, he hates it. And she decided to call him Gonk. She was like, Algonquin, I can't call you that. Oh, how about Gonk? How's that? And of course, Gonk hid the book when Vinny showed up. Now, Elvira tried to sell the house, but Vinny, all he wants was the book. That's it. Oh yeah, and also this guy named Bob, the nice guy. He has like this some sort of girlfriend who acts like a total witch, and she always has her shirt all buxom. I mean, it's just, I mean, she's padded. It's obvious she's really padded, and her name is Patty. Sheesh. And even called Elvira trash. Shows what she knows, huh? Anyway, one thing Elvira did is trying to have like some sort of a movie matinee by showing some clips of her horror movies, which she showed Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. She hosts it while it's playing, while all the teenagers starts enjoying the thing. And now she was going to do like a dance number, which she's kind of referencing Flashdance. She was reviewing Flashdance. Anyway, she was trying to do the reference of Flashdance where she pulled the lever and her body was covered in gold glitter. But sadly, Patty replaced glitter with a bucket of oil. Well, actually, it's tar. So she had to take a gasoline bath to get all the tar out. Anyway, after that, she uses her Aunt Morgana's cookbook to make something to eat for her and Bob. And, she did make something, but it turns out there was a demon-like monster showing up that she created. So Gunk grabbed the cookbook and took her all the way to the attic. And all of a sudden found a trunk. It contained all of Morgana's stuff. And then Elvira found a letter written from her Aunt Morgana. It turns out that Elvira has inherited her mother's magic. So it turns out that Elvira here, she ain't no vampire. I mean, I know a lot of people think she's a vampire, but I know one thing. She's a witch, not a vampire. She doesn't have fangs. She has spells. And of course, it turns out from her Organa's book that her uncle, Vincent, he cannot have his hands on it. If he grabs that book, he will be the most unstoppable and powerful wizard, sorcerer who ever lived. So now, Elvira and Bob decided to hid the book so Vincent wouldn't find it. But at the same time, she decided to play a little revenge on the townsfolk who really don't like her. She made this some sort of casserole. She thought it would be like a big monster to attack them, but it turns out it created quite of a effect. It makes them all lovey-dovey and kinky. Wow. And then all of a sudden, when Patty kissed Bob, well, Elvira grabbed her shirt and punched her, and it turns out she had falsies. False breasts. Ha! Mm-mm. But, sadly, Vincent talked to the townsfolks and decided to have her arrested, and the charges is witchcraft. So, they decided to have Elvira arrested and be burned at the stake. Man, I wish those things would have ended. I mean, thank goodness that the whole witch trial stuff ended right now, here, in America. But I heard there are some people who still practices witchcraft, but sometimes they go way too far, because I hear people who say they're practicing witchcraft, they keep sacrificing people for their spells. Which, I gotta say, it's not right. It's not right at all. Of course, I don't believe in magic, because there's no such thing as magic. But anyway, the teenagers try to save her, but sadly, they end up in the wrong floor, wrong ceiling. But there's another thing. She remembered from her Aunt Morgana's note that she carries the power with her. The ring that she had when she was a little kid, when she was a little baby, the ring have some of her power. So, she stopped the fire by hitting in the sky, and the lightning came and the rain showed up. So now she's finally free. But, sadly, Vincent got the book. And he was like, "The power is mine!" And of course, the moon starts to do the eclipse, where the moon falls under the earth's shadows. That's when Vincent becomes becomes master of the dark, and creates chaos in the world. So it's up to Elvira to stop him. Now, Elvira did well, now I like this one. She met Vincent, and she was doing like a Rambo kind of thing, going like, "You looking for me?" And then she fired her bazooka right at Vincent, but it didn't cause no effect. But she threw her high heels, and it went right in his forehead. It impaled him right in his forehead, going like, "Ah!" And when he removes that high heel out of his forehead, he was like, "Ooh, that hurts!" And then she finally got the ring she finally used the ring. She fired back at Vincent, and Vincent got the full effect of the power, and he starts dying. And of course, the house is on fire. She tried to get the book, but sadly, it was burnt in the fire. So now, I guess that's it. Their house is burnt. The book is gone. All she has is the ring. But here's one good thing. All the town folks came to apologize to her. Because they figured out they were wrong about her. And also, one old man who's a mechanic got her car fixed. And of course, there was a lawyer who showed up. It turns out, due to her uncle's death, now she inherits his fortune. Now she has enough money to go all the way to Las Vegas. And she did like a showgirl routine. Don't worry, it doesn't show any nudity. But she did do that one trick where she has these tassels on her bra and starts swinging them at the end. It's Elvira. Anyway, so she finally ends by hitting it big in Las Vegas. And this is Elvira Mistress of the Dark for you. Now, in reality, something did happen, though. It turns out that there was another TV host who wanted to sue Elvira. And that other host is none other than Vampira. Now, Vampira, she hosted a lot of horror movies back in the late 50s and 60s. And when she saw Elvira, she claimed copyrights over her appearance. I mean, come on, folks. Can you see the resemblance between Vampira and Elvira? Huh? Can you see the difference? I mean, I know they both have black hair, they both wear long black dresses, and they're both are kind of tight. What's she gonna do? Sue Morticia? And of course, here's a big difference. Vampira is supposed to be a vampire. Elvira is a witch. Big difference. Anyway, even though Vampira sued Elvira, she, I guess they had some kind of a deal settlement, because Elvira is here to stay. And then, right now, I've been hearing that she's been doing brand new movie macabres, but now online, and no longer on television anymore. Since now Netflix is going on. And I remember that there was another Elvira movie. I saw some of it, but not all of it. And it's another comedy. And the second movie is called Elvira's Haunted Hills. Now, I only saw some of it. I didn't see all of it. But some of the scenes are really hilarious and pretty funny. Somehow she ends up in another country and has a plus-size friend. Her journeys with her and sees this big haunted house, which is part of her inheritance. It's part of her inheritance. Except there's other family members who are kind of a lot weirder than she is. And then after that, there was a on-pilot TV pilot called The Elvira Show, starring Elvira. It was a TV series. It was an on-air pilot, and it was about Elvira. Turns out that she has a daughter, and she also has a mother who's a buxom redhead who don't let her age get in the way of getting some guys. I mean, getting the guy's attention. But of course, here's another thing. She has a long lost daughter who ends up in the orphanage, and it turns out that she is also a witch. So now there are a family of witches. And then all of a sudden there was a brand new series they made. It's pretty much a reality show. And the show is called The Search for the Next Elvira. While her and two drag queens who dresses up as Elvira are going through a lot of very lovely and sexy and very buxom women to see who is good enough to be the next Elvira. And look what they have here. Hubba, hubba. Wow. Anyway, I saw the ending and I saw the contestant. Now, I remember there were a lot of action figures and dolls of Elvira, but the only one I would love to have is this action figure of Elvira, where she has a witch's hat and a broom, because I'll always think of Elvira as a witch and not a vampire. Although I always kept telling Dracula to keep his fangs in. Well, this is my review of Elvira for today. If any of you like me talking about Elvira, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more Multi-Voice-Oween. Now, here's one thing I do have a problem with. It's too bad that Dark Universal didn't go well, sadly. And of course, that Justice League movie didn't go well. But I think they should do something different. I mean, I think... Hello? Now, this is something I could review. Creature Commandos. They're not superheroes. They're creatures, and they're commandos. They're Creature Commandos. So stay tuned, folks. My review of Creature Commando is coming up next. So, stay tuned. So this is Multi-Voice Reviewer saying, unpleasant dreams.